Well, hi everybody and welcome to the latest installment of Esri State and Local Connect. This is a Esri webinar series that's dedicated to state and local government GIS professionals who want to use GIS to improve operations and service delivery, make smarter data-driven decisions, and enhance the engagement with the citizens that you serve. My name is Mike Dyer, and I'm coming to you from Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm joined by my colleagues, Jay Fowler and Anthony Puzo. Jay, you want to say hello?
Hey, everybody. Name's Jay Fowler. I'm a solution engineer out of Charlotte, and I love hearing about our customers' goals and challenges and linking it up to Esri technology.
Thanks, Jay. And Anthony?
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Anthony Puzo. I'm our state government team lead based out of our Charlotte regional office covering the Southeast, and excited to be with you today.
Thanks, Anthony. So Jay, Anthony, and me, we're all from the Esri State and Local Government team. And we're glad to have you here for this month's webinar, which is called Diving into the Latest Capabilities for Infrastructure Management. So the previous webinars in this series have focused on specific capabilities of ArcGIS, such as field mobility, spatial analytics, or AI and machine learning. For the next few months, the series is going to shift to a focus on solutions and resources available to specific operational areas of state and local government. So in the coming months, there'll be presentations on land records management, planning and community development, and environment and natural resources management. But today, our focus is on those organizations that manage infrastructure, which is a broad topic. It spans water utilities, public works, transportation, facilities management, parks and grounds. So we're going to share with you some existing GIS solutions to help meet your organization's operational needs, and we'll explore some emerging GIS capabilities that can help you prepare for challenges that your organization might be facing going forward. I do want to mention up front that we are recording this session and that everybody attending will receive an email later with a link to the recording in case you'd like to share it with your colleagues or watch it again. We do invite you to submit questions. We'll have time at the end of the webinar to answer a few of them. If you want to submit a question, there's a question pane right there in the GoToMeeting pane. You can submit them there, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. If we don't get to it, we'll try to follow up with you afterwards. So public works departments, DOTs, utilities, they all face a number of challenges today. An ongoing challenge for everybody is containing operational costs, and that comes at the same time of many of you having to respond to various unfunded mandates. A lot of organizations are seeing an increased demand for services as their population and development grows. Many organizations are seeking to be more transparent and accountable about their operations and about how funding is allocated. I think everybody is having to deal with the issue of managing and maintaining aging assets. And increasingly, there's a need to support disaster preparedness and recovery efforts. So many of you are using ArcGIS to respond to these challenges and address operational needs. Some of you are managing networks, so water or transportation networks. You're modeling the network's behavior, providing situational awareness into operations, as well as supporting design and engineering. You're integrating GIS with work and asset management systems and ERP systems. Some of you are doing advanced spatial modeling and analytics. In transportation, for example, conducting origin and destination modeling or or analyzing traffic accidents, even using artificial intelligence and machine learning to try to predict accidents. Many of you are supporting field operations, so enhancing the field workflows, everything from inspections and repair workflows to managing solid waste collection. The need for real-time situational awareness is driving the adoption of dashboards and the need to consume real-time sensor data, whether it's IoT, AVL feeds, traffic data, or weather feeds. In facilities management, GIS is moving into detailed spaces, modeling buildings and facilities with ArcGIS Indoors platform, creating digital twins and integrating with BIM. And then finally, you're implementing hubs to better manage and enhance communication, both within your organization and with the broader community. So very quickly there, you've seen some of the GIS solutions that organizations are implementing to support various aspects of infrastructure management. Now we want to explore some of the solutions and resources available from Esri that support the needs of our infrastructure community. There's a lot of areas that we could touch on, but we're going to focus on a few areas of common interest to both large and small organizations. We'll touch on industry solutions that support specific infrastructure management workflows, as well as touch on field maps to support those field operations. Then we'll take a look at some emerging capabilities. So the ability to support real-time situational awareness. And we'll look at some of the advanced analytical capabilities of ArcGIS with AI and machine learning. And finally, we'll demonstrate a modern approach for collaborating and coordinating within your organization and for engaging with your citizens. So a good place to start is with ArcGIS Solutions. In addition to the core products and capabilities of the ArcGIS platform, Esri has developed a large collection of configurable solutions that support many different operational areas of state and local government, including apps for managing infrastructure. ArcGIS Solutions allow you to get started and build applications easily. This is an ecosystem of more than 400 focused applications that are easy to deploy and then modify to fit your organization's needs, whether that's communicating with the public, an operations dashboard, an editing workflow, or apps that support damage assessment. So looking specifically at the solution offerings for public works, for example, you'll see that there are apps that support workflows for planning and engineering, operations and maintenance, and environmental services. These solutions have been developed in partnership with our user community, meaning your input drives development and helps us to prioritize the capabilities that we build out. We're consistently updating these offerings as well as adding new apps to this collection. So looking at this in more detail, there's currently dozens of public works solutions that perform specific operations, and these solutions can be paired to support specific workflows. Capital project planning and tracking, for example, is a collection of maps and apps that are used to define capital projects, coordinate project schedules, track performance, and share project status with key stakeholders and the general public. There are solutions here that support Vision Zero initiatives or public parking, which we'll see in a minute. There's field apps to support inventorying right-of-way assets. Public engagement apps like Citizen Problem Reporter, which is one of our most popular apps that's downloaded, or My Trash Services. Some of these capabilities get deployed independently, but they're designed to be implemented together to support a complete workflow. These solutions, they reduce the cost and the time it takes to deploy mapping applications in a public works department. These solutions are freely available to download and can be easily configured to your organization. You can access these solutions through Esri's state and local government website. There are links to public works, water utilities, and transportation pages where you'll find other resources, case studies, and links to business partners that specialize in infrastructure and in public works. Now, let's go out into the field. Managing infrastructure is a field-intensive business. The deployment of mobility solutions is one of the fastest growing areas of need as organizations, both large and small, are realizing the opportunity to improve efficiency, data capture, and coordination of field operations. Some of you may already be using field solutions like Collector or Workforce. As a result of user feedback, Esri has combined multiple capabilities into one common application called Field Maps. Field Maps is intended to simplify mobile workflows. This single app will provide a solution for exploring maps, high accuracy data collection, location tracking, work management, and navigation. Now, I'm going to turn it over to Jay, who's going to show us a demonstration that inventories public parking assets using field maps. All right, Jay.
Thanks, Mike. So let's take a look at the ArcGIS public parking solution powered by ArcGIS Field Maps. We're going to focus on field operations component, and we're going to collect, update, and maintain a public parking data inventory while we're street side here. So you can see we're out in the field right now. We have a blue line that's tracking our location behind us as we go. And it's going to let us know where we've been, and when we arrive at a spot that we need to add to our inventory, it's really easy to do this using field maps. Then go ahead and add some on-street parking here. Take a photo of my parking spot. And I can start to submit other attributes about this parking spot as well. For example, the space ID, put in a location, a space name, an install date, and who owns and manages this parking spot. We're using smart forms and field maps that really make it easy to have a comprehensive, easy to use workflow in our form. So we can start to fill out other pieces of information about the space, parking restrictions as well. We'll go ahead and finish that. We can minimize that section of the smart form and maximize a different section of the smart form. Now we can start to fill out other information about payment types for this parking space. We can add a couple notes. In this case, we are considering putting in a pay station on this block. And when we're done, we'll just hit submit. We're now going to continue around the block to an area where we need to add a parking garage into our parking inventory. We'll go ahead and look at this on a tablet so you can see what it looks like to use field maps on a tablet. I'll add this garage, take a photo of it, and I'm going to go ahead and flip into portrait mode. You can really see the smart form shining in field maps, which is great. Once again, we'll punch in a space ID, can add a space name, and because I'm using my iPad, I'm actually going to use an Apple Pencil, which makes it really easy to enter this information. It's kind of similar to using like a pen and paper, so it's great workflow for folks who are more comfortable with the pen and paper workflow. So I'll go ahead and jot this name in. We now have a location added. We can add some other information as well after we correct these capitalization issues we have in this location description. Add an install date, who owns it, who manages it, and then you're going to notice on the smart form that we have a quantity section. That didn't actually show up when we were looking at the parking space because it's not as important for parking spaces. Where a parking garage, you really need to enter this information. This is part of the conditional visibility inside of field maps that allows us to hide certain areas or show certain areas based on an arcade expression. When we're done, we can minimize this section, move on, and start to put in some details about this parking space. You'll notice here as well, we have a section for maximum height. We did not have maximum height for parking spot. It's not important for garage, super important if you've ever seen a truck get stuck in a garage. So we'll show that there and ask that question. We'll then go ahead and fill out some payment information about this parking garage as well. And when we're done with that, I'll go back to using my Apple Pencil to put in some notes. In this case, the garage is thinking about implementing some charging stations. I can edit this text with my Apple Pencil. If I need to delete, I just scribble through. In this case, they're actually considering doing it in 2022, not 2021. I can remove a space or add a space with a strike down. I can hold the pencil down and add some text. In this case, it's an EV charging station. And finally, I can hold my pencil down as well to paste text as well. Apple Pencil makes it really easy to punch in some data in Field Maps using an iPad. When I'm done, I'll submit this. I'll continue walking around the corner where we've installed a new pay station that we need to add to our data inventory. When I get there, I'll go ahead and add this pay station. Once again, I can take a photo of it. And I'm going to move on to entering a facility ID. In this case, I'm going to use the barcode scanner. Makes it really easy to take a picture of asset ID tag, and it just features it in the smart form. Fill out some other information as well. And when I'm done with this, I can submit this data in. Now, because we've implemented a pay station, we need to update all the parking spots on the block. I could do this one by one. That would be not the most efficient workflow, right? So I can use the edit multiple functionality in Field Maps to edit all 7 parking spots at the same time. Go ahead and select them one by one. Make sure we get up to 7 selected items. We can continue and start to edit the information. In this case, I want to change the payment type to have mobile payment as well. We're going to change it to a pay station, and we can edit other attributes such as the time limit. When I'm done, hit submit. I just edited 7 attributes all on those parking spots at the same time. Now I can zoom out. You can see where I bin my location tracks. I can use some markup to draw a rectangle over this area and shade it in. Makes it really easy to show where I've worked today. And I'm going to go ahead and use a screenshot and a text message to tell my boss that I'm done for the day and show him the work I've done. All right. Now, this is part of a larger solution. We focused on the field operations, but there's much more in this solution. So you can see here we have the field map component. That's what we just looked at. We also have a parking inventory component for editing this data on a desktop and a web browser. And we have a hub component with lots of great applications. So let's start out in field maps. You can see our smart form here. This is where we control how various things look, like a text box or a text area. This is where we have our groupings for the smart form, so we can minimize and maximize areas. And this is where we have our conditional visibility. So the maximum height, we only want to show that question when our data type is of garage. Otherwise, we don't need to see it. This is our parking inventory so that we can edit this data on our desktop in a browser, do heads-up digitizing, or we can control whether this is visible to the public or not. All right, this is our parking locator. I can type in the name of a restaurant I'm interested in and see all the parking spots near that restaurant. I can see information about the parking spots, their rates, their hours, and other restrictions as well. Here's our parking satisfaction survey, so I can provide feedback about my parking experience in the city or the county or the state. Finally, we have a hub page to communicate this information. We have dynamic parking by the numbers. We have that parking space locator we saw. You can pay parking tickets or apply for permits with your existing systems. You can fill out that satisfaction survey. You can look at FAQ, and you can engage with this initiative by following it for updates. This has been a look at Esri's public parking solution and how Field Maps can help you collect the data that supports the solution from the field. This solution makes parking in our community and data collection, updating, and management easy and convenient. Thanks, Mike.
Jay, thank you. Appreciate that. Nice job. Let's pivot now and talk a little bit about working with real-time data. So, whether it's a SCADA system, sensors on valves, sensors in vehicles such as snow plows, or assets like smart trash cans, the need for infrastructure organizations to integrate sensor networks and IoT systems is quickly emerging. There's a need for real-time visualization to provide up-to-date situational awareness, but also to support analytics on that real-time data. So ArcGIS consumes real-time sensor data, whether it's IoT, AVL feeds, traffic data, weather feeds, whatever the real-time feed, ArcGIS can ingest that information and make sense of it. We still use GeoEvent Server and GeoAnalytics Server in Enterprise to handle that big data processing in real time. That's not going anywhere, but we've also introduced a brand new SaaS solution called ArcGIS Velocity. And Velocity combines the use of GeoEvent and GeoAnalytics into one place so that you can bring data together in real time and do analytics on the fly on the web, leveraging a SaaS model. So we're going to go back to Jay now to talk about some of these real-time capabilities.
Thanks, Mike. So let's take a look at a proof of concept around closing out street sweeping work orders and using location tracking and field maps. I'm using Workforce for assignments, but you could easily use another enterprise business system for work orders. I'm going to go ahead and add this work order around street sweeping, add an ID and a description. When I'm ready, I'll create the assignment. Looking at my dashboard, you can see Forest Street doesn't have a geofence, but now it does, right? So we've processed that assignment in real time and buffered it and created a geofence. Let's take a look at how we did that in Velocity. So we can see in Velocity our subscription utilization, but we can also look at other components like feeds, where we can pull in information from ArcGIS. In this case, I'm actually using a last known location of our location tracking from Field Maps. See our track viewer layer here. We can move to a real-time analytic. In this case, I'm taking that history of last known location and I'm putting in a historical feature layer. And then I'm processing things in big data analytics. So let's talk about the geofence first. We use that assignment from Workforce, and you can see it here in our analytic with a streets layer. So we're going to join those and then create a buffer of 100 feet around our streets based on the assignment we added. We're going to add the workers in from Workforce so that we have a really nice name to work with. We want to know Jay Fowler's doing the work. So we have the ability to do that and add the name and user ID here. And we're going to finally create this geofence that you saw pop up on the dashboard. Really cool stuff. We can then schedule this to run periodically, in this case, every 5 minutes. We can look at our logs, make sure everything's happy and healthy inside of Velocity. Finally, we're going to use a big data analytic to actually detect incidents. So looking at this, we have that last known location, we have our geofences, and we're going to look at a spatial relationship for when they intersect and detect those incidents. And we're going to focus on when it's ended, right? We want to know when the work ends, not while it's in process. At that point, we're then going to create a line using reconstruct tracks, join it back in with a spatial relationship of an intersect. We're going to look at a temporal component to make sure the geofence existed before the breadcrumbs. And we're also going to make sure that Jay Fowler's doing Jay Fowler's work and not somebody else's, right? Finally, we're going to shoot off an email and we're going to change the status of that geofence. Once again, we can schedule this to run periodically every 5 minutes. So you can see our street sweeper entering the geofence. I have sped this up to keep y'all all focused and entertained. Our street sweeper is going to move through this geofence. After they do, we're going to change that color based on a status field. So now that the work's complete, we're going to go ahead and make that green. You see our work order has moved on the right to the closed work order area, and we can see information. The work order ID, who was assigned to, the street name, Forest Street. Took me about 11 minutes to street sweep here. And we're also going to fire off an email to the street sweeper managers so they know that this work is completed. We could easily close out a work order in another enterprise business system at this stage as well. So this proof of concept has really illustrated how you can consume ArcGIS layers as well as other data sources to build real-time, near real-time, and analytical end-to-end workflows in ArcGIS Velocity. Back to you, Mike.
Great, Jay, thank you. So Another emerging area that we want to touch on is artificial intelligence and machine learning. So the field of AI has been progressing rapidly in recent years. It's used everywhere today, from autonomous vehicles to facial recognition to chat bots to advanced video analytics. The intersection of GIS with AI is known as GeoAI. And GeoAI is opening up new opportunities for state and local government to automate those workflows that consume a lot of operations and to get out in front of real world problems. Governments are collecting so much data today that the ability to analyze it is more challenging. GeoAI helps to turn this data into intelligence that offers new insight into your community. Esri is investing heavily in the field of GeoAI and has tools to support every step of the workflow. State and local governments, well, they're beginning to use these capabilities today. Some are using imagery or video to find objects and detect change. They're inventorying right-of-way assets. They're identifying blight and graffiti, vehicles from closed-circuit TV. They're collecting data faster and during this pandemic more safely. Others are making predictions, so predicting spatial events such as traffic accidents or where we're likely to experience infrastructure failure. And still others are focused on pattern detection, finding statistically significant patterns and clusters, looking, for example, at mobility and patterns of movement within a city. So these organizations are implementing practical solutions to better understand their communities and get in front of challenges. One such city is the city of Raleigh, North Carolina. Now, Jay, I know you work with the city of Raleigh, so why don't you talk to us about how they're using GeoAI?
Absolutely. So let's talk about how Raleigh is applying artificial intelligence and machine learning to some real world problems. All cities, counties, and states are seeing massive instrumentation all over the place. Trash cans are reporting their fullness, parking meters share transactions, bikes and scooters share the trips around the city or the county or the state. Other vehicles are sharing location and speed and direction. And with all these instruments, it's definitely a challenge, but an opportunity looking at all the data and analytics you can run. Next slide, please. So there's lots of data, right? And Raleigh's right now using an Esri platform and GeoEvent to process this data and make sense of it. Part of Raleigh's enterprise platform is to bring this data in and then make it shareable for operational and strategic decisions throughout the city. The platform has a bunch of tools on top that allows for analysis and visualization to make this data more consumable. Next slide, please. So we can talk about GIS as kind of an integration platform, right? So one data set to focus on is cameras, like traffic cameras. In Raleigh, they have, I think, 160 cameras throughout the city. In the past, you had to be sitting in the traffic management center to actually get access to this. If you weren't in that area, you did not have access to the feeds. But using this enterprise platform, Raleigh was able to integrate these camera feeds with their GIS system, stand up secure applications, and provide access to staff across the organization where appropriate. Next slide, please. So you see this video, and you've probably seen something like it before. It's effectively like a marking video for object detection. But the difference for Raleigh is that this is their streets that you're seeing here. It's their intersections and it's their cameras. So they talk to their transportation and business folks, and this really helped change a conversation around machine learning from an abstract idea to a very relevant, high value idea, possibly a game changer. So partnering with transportation, they're really focused on learning how people are moving around the city of Raleigh. Next slide, please. So they started off doing a pilot with Esri to take video and quantify, apply analytics, and present this back using a dashboard. The feedback they received was, this is great. Could you package it up in a way that was really targeting some business goals? Next slide, please. So their transportation department routinely does turning movement counts, not just the objects in an intersection, but what are they doing? Are they turning right? Are they going straight? Traditionally, they hired consultants to sit at an intersection and count vehicles, making turns in various directions. They then created reports, made a static PDF, and shared it with the city. They saw opportunity with machine learning to get more granular with particular intersections and do it not just when the consultant's there, but 24/7, 365 days a year. They could analyze trends with this, they could look at deviations from normal activity, and because it's all on their enterprise platform, they can take action alerting folks, messaging other business systems, etc. Next slide, please. Another example is around license plate recognition. So parking inspection staff has vehicles with cameras and onboard AI. They read license plates and match it against the database of folks who've paid for parking in the city. Sometimes data like this gets siloed, but because they're able to consume it in this enterprise platform, they can consume it across the organization. They use GeoEvent to do this again. And then they use dashboards to look at individual events, but also look at trends across the city. So they can pull in other data sets, relationships to signage. Maybe there's opportunity for education because of certain violations they're seeing. They can look at permitting and construction and see if maybe people are parking with violations because of certain construction problems. Next slide, please. So all these machine learning projects definitely can be game changers. It really changes the conversation and opens opportunities exponentially. There's so much info when we talk about this, all the data a city, a county, a state could potentially have that can be gathered, analyzed, and presented, and AI and ML make it much more consumable. So, you know, some takeaways, artificial intelligence, machine learning, definitely the next frontier in many ways. In this case for Raleigh, it's helped to maximize the data that they have. This can help you integrate the data into an enterprise platform so that you can make it shareable and give the appropriate people in your organizations access. And finally, machine learning and artificial intelligence really eliminates areas that humans do not really need to be touching, right? So Mike mentioned increasing safety during COVID, things like that. Let the AI machine learning do some of the data collection and data processing. Let humans really do what they do best at the end of the process, summarizing data and making decisions. Back to you, Mike.
Jay, thank you. That's really interesting and nice job. Kudos to the city of Raleigh for the work that they're doing. So lastly, we want to talk to you about ArcGIS Hub. So ArcGIS Hub provides an effective way to communicate both within the organization and with the broader public. Hub is a central destination that provides a tailored view for everyone in the organization so that they can see information and apps that are relevant to them. ArcGIS Hub is all about collaboration and engagement. It extends ArcGIS Online to connect organizations with the communities they serve. You can reach out to stakeholders to provide them updates and status, but it's not just one-way communication. Hub enables collaboration with the community. Community users can share feedback, concerns, and provide insights from the field. So now Anthony is going to show us how the state of Maryland and Maryland DOT specifically are using Hub to manage and monitor capital projects across the state. Anthony?
All right. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Jay. Appreciate everybody joining today. My name is Anthony Puzo. I will be showing a little bit deep dive on how the state of Maryland is using ArcGIS Hub, but I want to give you a little context first, and I think Mike set this up really nicely. ArcGIS Hub, one of my favorite apps in the ArcGIS platform, and it's a way that you can really provide context around the content that you're delivering. So what ArcGIS Hub allows you to do is share open data. So if you just need to share data to the public, here's a great way of you organizing that data, whether that's tabular data or GIS data, and sharing that and organizing that and sharing that out to the public through a Hub site where somebody can download that information or write an API to it or filter it. So really, really easy way of doing that. A really great way of building out websites. So if you're familiar with something like Squarespace or Wix or something like that just builds out websites, this is built in to every ArcGIS Online subscription out there. So if you have access to ArcGIS Online, you have access to ArcGIS Hub Basic to build out these websites and share that data. And then you can really organize that data around the initiatives that you have, whether it's a homeless initiative or an economic development initiative, or today I'm going to talk about capital improvement projects. Whatever that initiative is, you can make that your own and provide the context and the apps and the data that all support that. You can really provide a collaborative environment to do that two-way conversation that Mike mentioned, and really inspire action. How do you get the community involved in these things? And this is a great way of just building that out. You have control of building out these websites. Really nice modern website that's mobile enabled that you can share out to the public. And one state that I've been working with a long time is the state of Maryland. They were an early adopter of ArcGIS Hub when it was called just open data, sharing out now over 1,400 data sets of all kinds of things: tabular data, GIS data, boundary information, imagery, all kinds of stuff into that open data catalog. And they organize this in a couple different ways. One, they have some featured interests of emergency management, environment, economic development, and transportation. And then they also provide the data categories here. So if you're looking just for data, this is a great way of starting to look for that data. And then they also have a nice freshness dashboard to show you how up to date their data is. So some really nice information here, and a great way of taking your data and also federating that with other folks' data. So I've seen that as a trend in large cities and state governments, where they're going to share their data, but they also want to make a clearinghouse for other people's data. They can federate that because it's all done through web services. One thing I'm going to showcase today is their transportation effort, and they call it transportation, not just DOT, because there's a lot of efforts going on in the state that is transportation focused, but not necessarily from DOT, like their transit-oriented development dashboard. This is actually built by Department of Planning. So this is a collaboration of planning and DOT and State Highway and Transit Authority, all these folks involved in this kind of program. So the state of Maryland has an open data site, like I just showed you, but also Maryland DOT has their own. So this is a great way of building out the state's brand, but also maybe your own department. So if you have your own public works group or transportation agency or utility group, and you want to share that data and organize that, this is a great way of starting to share out that data. And what's nice about this is that they share this out for their internal purposes, but also public. They have some key applications that they're showing here. They have some of their key featured open data sets, some of their featured printed maps, and some of their story map applications, and some of their other applications that they're sharing out. And they also have a really nice story map here of their newsletter that goes out every quarter. So really nice way of kind of keeping their community up to date. They also have an internal focus of this. So you get a login and password, and you can see now applications that are tailored to you specifically for internal applications. These are mostly like editing type of applications, so they can edit those apps and data sets. So really nice way of kind of serving the public needs and their internal needs internally. So some of these applications are posted right on their homepage of their website. This is Maryland State Highways website, roads.maryland.gov. And they have a couple of really nice initiatives here. One is their context driving. This is how they're doing their safe and effective multimodal transportation, their Vision Zero effort here. This is actually a nice experience builder application you can go check out. I'm gonna focus today on their project portal. And this has been an effort to really enhance their communication about how and what they're doing in the state as far as capital improvement projects. Before we started on this initiative, they were sharing out either not enough information, so you get just the bare minimum of the project, or you'd get the 3,000-page PDF, so you get too much information. I call this the executive overview of their capital improvement projects. It started out with this nice web app builder application of just mapping their projects. So this is all their projects, what phase they're in, the annual traffic, and different pieces of information around that project. And that was the simple start of this. And then they realized they need more context with this data for each one of these projects. They're spending millions and millions of dollars on these projects. People who are driving past these around the beltways here, they want to know what's going on. When is this going to be completed? How much money we're spending? Who to contact? So So they came up with this project portal. And what the nice part about this is that you can actually go in here and see by district how many projects are in each district. So you can go on, and each one of these are hyperlinked to a specific project page. So you can see all of these in District 3, Montgomery and Prince George. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of population, a lot of highway area there. So each one of these projects has its own hub site. And what's nice about this is that this was built off a template that the GIS team and the IT team put together. And this template is now being owned by the PIOs and communication teams to go and kind of, I call it like the Mad Libs for hub sites. So this just had project template, and they put in the project name here, the location of it. This little follow button is very important, because this follow button, when you click on it on the public site, it asks you to log in. So you can log in with your Facebook or Google credentials here. And on the back end, it catalogs that person on who's interested in that. This was one of the main drivers of them looking at this, using Hub for this, because they want to know who specifically was interested in their project. So now they have a way of engaging with them. So if they have a community meeting or a webcast or something about that project, now they have a list of folks that they can go engage with. And that's a really great way of doing that. But at the minimum, they wanted to have this executive overview. So a nice little header here, some basic information, the follow button, where this project is, the overview of it. And this is kind of nice that they, 72% complete, where this project is in the state with a nice pop-up, just like you saw in the previous one. Some different updates on it, where they are in the project phase, planning, design, and construction. And then a lot of different graphics and media. Here with Hub, you can put in all kinds of different pictures and videos. I've seen drone footage in these sites. You can link to other documents. In ArcGIS Hub, you can not only link to your shape files and other data and GIS data sets, you can also link to tabular data sets, flat files, PDFs, documents, all those different types of pieces that you want to put in there, and then you can link those into here, or you can reference them from other systems. You can have little events in here, and then phases, and then one of their favorite pieces is the contact information for each one of these projects. So a really nice way of doing this capital improvement projects. Once they got started with it, they got them all done in a quick amount of time. They built out this project template. So this is the project template that PIO's team sees. They have different this is like the Mad Libs type of environment here, where you can see all these. And then this has a really nice user interface where you can drag and drop little videos here. And it's what you see is what you get builder, just like some of our other applications. So you can do this, and you hit save, and you hit share, and now you got a Hub site shared to the public. So that was a custom template, and that's most of the common ways people build templates. But we also have, just like Mike showed some solution templates earlier, those solution templates that are apps for collecting information in the field also have Hub sites that go along with that. So we have a really nice capital project tracking application, some coronavirus sites, some equitable property ones, which are really popular, some mosquito applications. But these are really nice starter templates that give you the foundation so you don't have to start from scratch every time. So you can go in here, you can rename the capital expenditures, you can add in your data pieces. These are all, these pieces here are widgets that are connected to the actual data set. So as you update the data, these widgets will update as well. And all kinds of different information on here, multimedia type applications. So there's a lot of different templates here and resources for you to do. We also have, if you're not familiar with the learn.arcgis.com, this is like a little secret sauce here where you can learn, this is all free learning sessions. Some are 3 minutes long, some are 3 hours long, but you can find all different kinds of content here for training sessions. And we have a whole Hub category here to build your own template, to share your own templates, and get started with Hub Premium and try it out. So there's a lot of different training sessions here for you to get started with it. So that's what I have, Mike.
Fantastic, Anthony. Thank you very much. And again, just great job just great job with the state of Maryland, what they've done there. That's fantastic. So we've focused on some of the resources and some new capabilities that are available to professionals who are managing infrastructure. To leave you with a few takeaways, one, just know that ArcGIS includes a collection of dozens of solutions that support common workflows that are specific to public works and utilities and infrastructure management. And then field maps, Jay demonstrated field maps. So that's that single app solution that supports a variety of the common field operational workflows. We talked about some new capabilities, such as the ability to integrate and perform analytics against real-time data, and also touched on the intersection of GIS with AI and machine learning to create new opportunities to improve planning and operations within your organization. And then finally, Anthony demonstrated ArcGIS Hub as a tool to support coordination and collaboration within the organization and with the citizens that you're supporting. It's an easy to configure platform, and Hub organizes that information and apps to support different audiences around different initiatives. So we included in this presentation some links to resources on the topics that we've touched on today so that you can explore them more on your own. I'd also like to encourage you to visit the Esri State and Local Government Connect site to access all the previous recordings in this series. And again, you'll be sent an email with a link to this specific recording. I'd also like to encourage you to reach out to the Esri State and Local Government team for support. Anthony and Jay and I, we're part of a large team of GIS professionals at Esri that focus on state and local government community. We've got a wealth of state and local government experience. Many of us came from different state or local governments prior to joining Esri, and we're here to support your efforts. We're still not able to be with you in person, but please know that we're still very much here for you. So whether it's helping you to develop a strategic roadmap for your organization's GIS, for providing training or professional development, or connecting you with our large network of partners that provide solutions for infrastructure management, we're committed to helping your organization to achieve its goals. We'll take a few questions in a moment, but let me first mention that our next State and Local Connect webinar will be on May 19th, 10 o'clock Pacific time, 1 o'clock on the Eastern time, and that'll be diving into the latest GIS capabilities for land records, and you can register for that on the State and Local Connect website. So maybe just time for a couple of questions, and Jay, I'll direct this to you. So going back to that parking solution, did you build that solution from scratch?
That's a great question. So I actually deployed the solution in ArcGIS Online. As Mike, as you discussed, we have these great solutions. We've worked with cities, counties, and state governments. We've heard about what they're trying to do, their needs, their requirements, and we've developed a set of solutions that we try to accomplish as many of those as we possibly can. You can then take those solutions and configure them a little bit further. But that group worked with a lot of cities and counties, state governments to develop a public parking solution. I found in ArcGIS Online, if you go under the app launcher in the top right corner, there's a solutions chiclet, and you just click on that, you type in parking, and you hit deploy now. It deploys all of the layers, the maps, the applications, the groups needed to use that solution. So you can get going like in 10 minutes after this call.
That's awesome. Thanks, Jay. And then maybe a question about velocity. So there was a question around You know, how hard is it to install Velocity?
That's a really great question, and we have a really great answer. It's software as a service, so there's no hardware needed, there's no installation needed. All you need is a subscription access, and you can start building your real-time, near real-time analytical and big data analytical workflows very quickly.
Awesome, thanks, Jay. And do you have to have AVL data to use Velocity?
You don't. So, you know, we actually didn't look at any AVL data today. You could, if you have a consumable API feed, you can certainly tap into AVL data. I was using a layer out of ArcGIS, so it works great with those layers, but there's a lot of other options as well, you know, standardized options for dealing with various data sources, HTTP feeds, things like that. So you do not need AVL data. There's lots of other data from sensors out in nature, you know, river sensors, stream gauges, rain gauges, wind sensors, all sorts of stuff that you could tap in and derive valuable information.
Okay. Going back to that parking scenario for a moment, and we get asked a lot about field maps, which you demonstrated there. You know, what's the process for migrating to field maps?
That's a really good question. So it's a very easy process. If you've been using ArcGIS Collector in the past, you know, those maps with editable layers will just show up when you install the Field Maps native app on your phone. And then, you know, you can start building out some smart forms, a capability that didn't exist in Collector. So you can start making use of that. I would encourage you, if you're interested, to get going immediately. If you're looking at using a solution like the public parking solution, it's deployed for field maps. So, you know, it's change gears, start using field maps. You'll really enjoy the experience, and the migration path is not very hard.
Great, thank you, Jay. And Anthony, thank you as well, and thank you all for spending this time with us today, and appreciate your time. Thanks, and have a great rest of the day.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate everybody joining.
Thank you.